1 second. Hello, hello, hello. Where's Miss Cass? I'm glad you asked. Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Cass, Vice President of Community Engagement for Exit Strategy Realty, Principal Broker for the Aspire Group powered by Exit Strategy Realty, your neighborhood realtor, investor, and educator. And I am here with session number 2 for Fair Housing Month. Today, we're going to talk about equity in action, and I am super, super excited to have my guest speaker here for today. You might hear me, so I apologize. I have a little bit of a sore throat. I was in Springfield for a Realtor Lobby Day, and let's just say I was lobbying, okay? So the voice is here. We're going to try to make it work anyway. Before we go any further, I just want to say hello to Facebook. If you're watching from Facebook, hello to LinkedIn, also hello to YouTube. I am trying to get Instagram tapped in, but I am not sure if that's going to work today. But nevertheless, I still wanted to say hello to Instagram too, just in case it worked. But once again, today is Fair Housing Equity in Action session number 2. And I am super, super excited to have my guest speaker, Ed Beavers, here to talk a little bit about equity in risk protection, equity in wealth management. And so before we go any further, I just want to share that Ed is a trusted advisor in insurance and wealth management. He brings a critical perspective on how protecting your home is directly tied to protecting your wealth. He has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm super, super excited to have you here. Let's welcome to the stage Ed Beavers, as I call him. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for taking time out.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm actually really excited about this always.
Yay. Yay. So listen, I want you to talk a little bit before we go into anything. I want you to tell people what inspired you to go into insurance and wealth management. What did you see when you first entered this industry? And I'm talking about specifically around like our communities. And what do you see today?
Okay, so what I've seen basically, I got into this industry, um, not to sell insurance. I got into to close gaps that I've seen in our communities. Um, Too many families, especially in Black and Brown communities, are there. So we aren't lacking ambition; we're lacking access, clarity, and advocacy. So what I
Wow.
mean by that is, so over the years, I've seen the same patterns. Okay, families are uninsured or they're improperly insured. You have a lot of first generation homeowners that are navigating the process, any process, but they're lacking it from um, actually without guidance. So we all want to buy houses, right? So, but are we getting the right guidance? Okay. So
Mhm.
I know for you, Cassandra, that you give great guidance, but that's not what we go out and get. We get the guidance from the wrong people. All right. And that's not because we actually want to go to those people, but those people are not given the right guidance. So we're
So when you
we're
say real quick, yeah, when you say, and I might interject a couple of
no,
times, so
you're
I
fine.
apologize in advance. I want to make sure that we speak to our audience in a way that they understand as well. When you say some people get the guidance, where do you feel like that misinformation is coming from, or that miseducation? Where's that coming from?
Can I say street guidance? You
You
know,
can say street guidance,
okay.
yeah.
So a person that's never owned a home is talking about home ownership, and it's kind of like talking about marriage to a person who's never been married,
Mm,
right?
okay.
You want to go to those trusted advisors, and referrals are a big deal. You know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
up to people like you, me, other people to go out into community to make sure that we're we're in front of people so they know that they can go out and get guidance, and it doesn't cost any money to get guidance
Yeah.
for the most
So where do
part.
you feel like we meet? Where do we meet people and where do people meet us in your opinion, just based on your experience? What would be the best setting for someone? Because I'm going to be honest, I understand everything that you're saying in terms of us not getting the right guidance, right? A lot of us don't know where to find those resources. And so where would someone find the resource, a resource like a Ed Beavers? How do we get exposed to the right people?
So I'm gonna push a question back to you.
Okay.
This is back to you. So um how did they find you? You know what I mean? So, and I can kind of ask the question. They found you from a trusted advisor, and those advisors found you, and you found me. Okay, so all you need really is to find that one good person, and they're gonna always have good people around them. So if you find an advisor that you trust them, they're going to find other advisors in whatever field you're looking at. So I even find it going from financial advisors to insurance agents to plumbers to roofers. I kind of go in, I kind of stay in the same circle. I don't really go out of my circle because your circle is who you, I'm going to call it the circle of trust.
Right.
Um, that's kind of where you go. So if you find that one person that you trust, that's who you should kind of stick with, and they'll take you to where you need to go.
So what you're saying is connect with that one resource, right? And leverage their network. As you leverage their network, you can then start to build out your own network of people that you trust and people that can give you guidance. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and it sounds so much better when you said it just did.
I mean, I'm trying to keep it simple for the people. What's up,
you
Misty
kind
on
of like you kind
Facebook?
of like broke that down into the easy words. I appreciate
Right,
that.
right, right. Special shout out to my real estate sister, Misty, DJ
Hey, Miss.
Misty. Oh my God, she's the bomb.com. You guys check out her radio show if you have not checked her out. Follow her on all her platforms. Thank you for hanging out with us, sis. Okay, so yeah, but what I'm asking is still, I'm still going to pose that same question, right? If I'm not in the right room, what are the rooms that these professionals are in, right? Let's act like we're not in the industry because right now we are. So we have access to certain professionals that other people might not necessarily have access to. If we are not in those rooms, how do we get in those rooms to actually connect with people, to link up with them, to build that resource so that we could start having a network, right? That would be my question.
And so I usually tell people this: what you have is your gut. If you're going to buy a house and you go to meet a real estate broker and you don't feel comfortable, trust your gut. If you go into an insurance office and that agent is not explaining everything to you, trust your gut.
But how would you know? Okay, here's another follow up. I love this
Okay.
conversation. I love
Mhm.
it. How would you know what to trust if you have never been exposed to this conversation? And let's just keep it 100. When it comes to life planning, right? Not even death, but like life planning. Many people that look like us in our communities, we don't have those conversations with our families. We a lot of times feel like it is taboo to talk about planning after death. And so if we've never been exposed to those conversations, do you understand what I mean? How do we know that what we're being told by a professional is the right thing or the wrong thing. Yes, you can trust your gut, but what are some tips that you would give someone who maybe has not had a conversation in their family, right, about wealth protection, about life insurance? What are some tips that you would give someone outside of, I think trusting your gut is good, but outside of trusting your gut, where can they go to place themselves in the room with like-minded people?
Um, Definitely. So you're gonna be in different rooms all the time, right? But and Sandra, we would just add a seminar, and um, if you start
Mm,
talking to that individual, and they start and and they give you an assessment without asking you questions, you know to kind of end the conversation, right? And Sandra, I always use my clipboard example.
okay.
If you walk into the doctor's office and he started handing you aspirin without filling out that clipboard tells the doctor about you. All right. And anytime you're, whether it's looking for a house, I'm looking for insurance, what type of insurance, I would not know what to give you without getting that clipboard. When I say clipboard, I mean asking asking about you, what your what your dreams are, what are the dreams for your family are, when do you plan to retire, are you going to switch jobs? Those are all questions that are tailored to you. So if I'm
Right.
not asking about you, but I offer you advice without asking about you, that's when you know you should just move on to the next person.
Okay,
And
so that's
again,
that's a sign. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You were gonna say
right.
something else. I was just in agreement with
Oh,
you. You were gonna say something.
okay, yeah. So that's it, because everybody's not right for everybody. So you're basically interviewing people until you feel comfortable with that person. You
Very
know,
true.
there are thousands and thousands of insurance agents, thousands of advisors, thousands of real estate brokers. But do I feel comfortable enough to put my family and my money and my life dreams with that person? If you don't feel like comfortable with that person, trust your gut. I know I keep going back to that. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Trust your your past experiences.
Okay. No, that's helpful. That's really helpful. I love a clipboard analogy. That to me makes a lot of sense. Like you said, if you're going somewhere and they're not properly assessing you, but they're pushing a product or pushing a service or maybe pushing medicine, or if it's an insurance agent, maybe pushing a certain policy without really understanding what your goals are long term, then that tells you that they're not really into what your needs are. It's more of just like, hey, let me get this done, let me get this out of the way. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. And again, once again, you explained it so eloquently.
Oh my goodness.
That's a new
Oh,
word. I just read my thesaurus today, and
listen, you
the
better
word
read
for the
your
day was
thesaurus.
eloquence. Eloquence was
Listen.
the word for today.
Okay, well, look, let's clap it up. We clapped it up for eloquence. I love it. And so now that we're talking a little bit more about that, right? I want us to have a real conversation about this. And I feel like now that, we've gotten that understood, we can really dive into, a real true conversation about insurance and the risk and what we're seeing in our communities. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit and go into risk awareness and for buyers and for sellers, right? I really want you to tell us what are the most overlooked risks that both buyers and sellers are facing today in today's market, particularly in communities where we're experiencing rapid displacement and development. How can we better educate our community, right? Not just our clients, but our communities to better protect themselves. Outside of the analogy, what are some things that you're seeing in terms of things that we are overlooking as a community that can put us at risk?
So, are you referencing if you're in the house, what are the risks in the house or prior to
Yeah,
buying the house.
like ownership protection, right? Like how do we protect that asset? What are
So,
some risks that you're seeing?
so the first thing we need to force whoever your professional is, they need to explain. Let me say two things. We need to make time to go through the policy prior to closing. Okay. If
Okay.
you don't do it prior to closing, do it right after closing. Okay. What I
Okay.
found is that most people do not go over their policy until when a claim
So they need
happens.
it.
Okay. And so, how do you know what you don't have if nobody explained to you what you have? And this is the biggest thing that most people don't have. And if you're in Illinois, in the city of Chicago, or in south suburbs or west suburbs, and it is sewer backup and water sump pump coverage.
Thank you. Okay, we get
Okay.
into some nitty gritty.
It
Okay.
is, and just so you know, no policy. I don't always say absolutes, but no policies absolute come with with sump pump or sewer backup coverage automatically. Okay. And when this claim happens, it could financially ruin you. Some people have so many things in the basement, their washer and dryer, their heirlooms, and they storm in the basement because they want the house to look nice, right? Or some people have a nice basement. They make this man cave, and now everything's ruined.
Or she shed, or she shed.
Or she said, I'm sorry, I say man cave, I mean. So let me explain what sewer backup
Yeah.
and sump pump coverage is. So every if you've grown up in this area, you know that everybody, if you play in your basement, there's a little drain on the floor in the basement, right? Okay, that is the basement drain, right? So say it rained like it just did. So recently, when we just had when we had all these storms, we
Yep.
I had 45 claims in just one day, just in my office. One of my colleagues had 154. Okay,
Wow.
so let's just talk about this.
Okay.
We had a couple of customers who did not have this coverage. So what happens with sewer backup or water backup? It's the same coverage, but they cover two different things.
Okay.
Water um, overflow in the street, right? And so the water just keeps raining, keeps raining, keeps raining. When that water has no place to go in the street, it comes into your house through the drains, and it comes up through those little things, those drains on the floor. Now all the gook and all that stuff comes into your house through that drain. Also, water, you may have a sump pump. Okay. So a sump pump is a machine used to push the water out back into the street so that your house doesn't get succumb with water and sewage. But
Okay.
but if it's too much water coming in too fast, that sump pump can fail, and now the water sits in the house. So that's sump up failure. If you don't have a sump pump, then that water will sit. Now that coverage costs most companies. This is most companies, not just with us. Cost between $200 and $500.
Wow.
Now I don't add I don't add very well, but if you multiply $500 divided by 12, anybody do that for me? 500 divided by 12 is how much, Cassandra?
Oh, I thought you said anybody, meaning I wasn't included. Hold on, let me get it for you. Okay, 500 divided by 12, that's 60, isn't it?
No, it's not 60.
500 divided by 12 is 41.
Okay. So at the high end, it will cost you $41 on the high end a month to add that coverage onto your policy, which adds about $10,000 to $15,000 worth of coverage on your
Wow.
policy. This coverage covers your floors. It covers the personal property. Okay. It covers the walls if you have to cut out the walls, right? Most people think that your house coverage covers this, right? House coverage
Mm.
does most time cover your walls if your pipes bust, but it doesn't cover water backup or sewer backup coverage.
So what
Okay.
you're saying is for approximately 500 extra dollars in coverage per year, you could we could have that extra coverage. Let me just fall on the sword and be transparent. So right now, I have a two flat. I'm on the south side of Chicago. My two flat is completely um, done except for the basement. The reason why the basement is unfinished is because I keep having dirty water back into my basement. So exactly what you're saying is happening. But how many, if I'm thinking of this coverage, right? We've had significant rain over the last few months. I've had at least three instances where water has backed into my basement. And so when you look at claims, right, how often do I need to be putting in a claim? Then what's going to be the impact of me from putting those claims in, multiple times? You see what I'm saying? That's kind of where my head goes. I know that it does make sense to have, but what happens when you have multiple claims of that nature?
Okay. That's a great question. And everybody's gonna say, "Well, I buy this. I buy insurance to if things happen, I should be able to file a claim." Okay, all that those are absolutely true statements. Okay,
Yeah.
but your direct question is, should I file a claim? Okay, and my answer is every time is going to be different. Right, that's why you want to have a trusted advisor because every claim is different. You want to every company has a different assessment of this.
Okay.
Some companies, if you have more than two sump pump claims in a certain time, they might cut that coverage off of your policy. Okay.
Correct.
Um, so insurance companies don't want you to use the insurance as a maintenance policy. That's what a home warranty is for. I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go to a subject that most people understand, and that's like my father would say, roofs, ROOVES, but we know it's ROOS. Okay, we're gonna talk about roofs.
Don't do
Okay,
him like that. What do you say?
so
Rules.
roofs. So people people understand that just because it rains and something happens to your roof, that everybody think that they should get a new roof, right? So there are two parts to this, all right? There are people that come around knock on your doors after um just now, and they'll call, and they're the equivalent of ambulance chasers. They are coming around and looking at your roof, and they're saying, "Well, you can get a new roof
Hmm.
right
They called me. They called me last week.
now, right." And so what they do is when you in the past, companies weren't as stringent on this. Okay. But in the last 10 years, the companies have lost a lot of money because of these type of people. Right. And what it does, and I tell people, insurance companies are not for profit organizations. They're in the business to make money. Okay.
Hmm.
And when you start having a bunch of claims, they're gonna spend money to help them because to help them, and I mean, don't think I'm thinking that you shouldn't pay a claim, but what happens is 99% of the people are good. It's that 1% that don't do the right thing that affects the other 99%.
Hmm.
And so when all these claims happen in a certain zip code or certain zip code, it affects the whole zip code. So you can't raise. the rates on just just one person. So say if a company is actually losing money because of roofs, they're gonna raise
You're
they're
not gonna
gonna
get me in
raise the
trouble.
certain.
Don't keep
I
saying that
know, I know,
on my
I know I'll
stream.
get trouble from that. My mother is just having this. She was a teacher. It's roofs, Ed. But um, the thing is, insurance companies they have to raise the rates on everybody in that zip code, not just
Hmm.
one. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that also understand what your roof coverage is. Okay.
Well,
You
whatever do you mean? There's a special coverage. What do you mean?
yes, yes. There are these are words that you can use on you take these words, look at your policy. This is the thought for the day. Okay.
Okay. This is our homework.
This is it for the day. Okay.
Okay.
You have actual cash value, right?
Yes.
And you have replacement costs. Okay.
Okay.
I like I like to use actual cash value, and I kind of put it on a car because everybody understands cars. Everybody had a car accident, or knows somebody had a car accident, right? Actual cash value is like the blue book value on a car. You have an
Okay.
accident, they're gonna give you what it's worth right then, right? That's what actual cash value is for a house or a roof. So if you see that, so if you have a 15-year-old roof or a 10 or 15-year-old roof, what would actual cash value mean to you? What is the value of that roof at the time of the loss?
So that
That's what
includes
they're gonna pay you.
depreciation.
That's when yes, they're gonna put depreciation on that roof the same way they put it on a car. Okay.
Mm, okay.
Replacement costs. Replacement cost means exactly what it says. Replacement, right? If you have replacement costs on your policy, and that applies to the house, the personal property, the 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 garage, all those types of things. That word is very important on your policy.
Okay.
Replacement cost, actual cash value. If you have actual cash value, there may be a reason for it. I don't know what the reason is. My goal is to make sure that that those two words, if you don't think anything that I said today, actual cash value and replacement cost. If you see those on your policy, just call and ask the agent or call me for a second opinion. All right. The goal is that we get a second opinion on everything, but we don't get second opinions on things like this. We only
Mm.
get second opinion on a rate, and it's not the
It's the
rate, right?
coverages that we
It's
have
the
to be careful of.
coverage, it's the
Okay.
service. You
Okay.
may need to pay a little bit more for a better policy, just like when you go to Ruth Chris and pay an extra little bit more for the steak when you can get the
Mhm.
same steak at Denny's. But
Right.
when you go to Denny's, you expect Denny's service, right?
Yeah.
When you go to Ruth Chris, you don't go there for the food. Really, you go there for the service,
For the
okay?
experience.
For the experience and the service.
Correct.
And you should take that same mindset and put it towards the biggest asset that every family, it is their home. Put that same energy and thought process and into your home because that's where I see it goes bad. We have
So
bad
those are the
claims.
risks.
We don't ask enough questions.
Wow.
And I tell people when you go to the closing table, I promise you, you're the only one paying money. You know what I mean?
Everybody
Ask
else waiting on check.
everybody writing on checks, and you're the one giving it, right?
Right.
This is one time in your life when you're buying a house. And most people that you are in total control. You need to be in control. If you have a
Mm.
lawyer, which you will when it's Illinois, have them explain the things to you. Everybody tries to rush through everything.
Yeah.
but you've saved up this money for months and years, and you're about to just hand it over. Use your resources. If your realtor refers you to somebody, that means that they trust them, right? But I need to trust you. I'm gonna ask you. Me. That's just me. I make you earn your money. You know what I mean? I make you earn your money. The
And it's
lawyer,
still not
the
a it's not a bad idea, even if you do get a referral from a realtor partner, right? It's not a bad
yes,
that's not to say that you can't bring other
definitely,
people to that table, right? Maybe your
yes,
family has a great attorney that you've been working with for several years, or maybe you've heard great stories about someone else who had a challenging situation, and maybe that attorney, was able to help them through that challenging situation. Don't feel like you can't bring new professionals to your circle, because we're welcoming to your professionals as well. A lot of times when we are referring, it doesn't necessarily mean that we gain anything financially. These are just people that we have had in our circle. These are people that we've seen close deals successfully. And these are people that to Ed Beavers' point, that we know and we trust. But we know them and we trust them. So don't ever feel forced to go along with the referral. You're always welcome to bring your own professionals to the transaction. So I just wanted to point that out. I also wanted to shout out Kanisha from LinkedIn, and Coach Carey from Indiana, who was chiming in earlier from LinkedIn. Thank you, ladies, so much for popping in. So Ed, I wanna bring us back to what you said those risks are. So sewer and some pump coverage, and also you mentioned not understanding the difference between actual cash value and replacement costs.
yes.
Okay,
So, so to kind of go back to that, when you see and they'll have the initials, or they'll say actual cash value. Go into the mindset of a car.
okay,
A car, and everybody understands what blue book value is. When
correct,
you have an accident, you're gonna say how much are they gonna give me for my car?
correct.
Take that same concept and put it towards your house. If this red roof gets damaged, how much are they gonna give me for this roof? If this house, if if I have a if I have a damage to my personal property, and I have a fire, how much are they gonna give me for this couch that's 10 years old? If you have
Right.
actual cash value, they're gonna give you what a 10-year-old couch should be. If you have replacement costs, they're gonna give you the cost of getting a similar, it's never exact, right? A,
Yep.
a cost, a similar cost couch. All
So that
right.
would be a comparable in real estate language, a comparable couch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason this kind of goes into the conference we're having today is because you have to prepare for this. You've saved this money, you bought this house, and one bad claim could take you back 5 or 6 years. Because now,
Correct.
so what happens is, let me tell you the cycle. You end up, it's already tight in a lot of houses when they get the house, right? And so what happens, here's what happens. Now you don't have the money. Say you have it. Okay, you may have been saving for something else. But say you have it, you pay it. Now something else doesn't get paid, right? But then what happens is you end up taking out a loan. Then you go to the
Ooh,
payday. Then you go to all these different things. All right. So yeah, it actually creates a bad cycle. And now you have bad credit. And now it's harder to get back on track. And then you have these high interest rate loans,
yes.
and you might get behind on your mortgage. Then you may need something. It just creates a cycle. So that's how all of this goes together. So people think like insurance, having the right coverage prevents you making bad decisions, or decisions that you were forced into making. Okay. And
Wow.
that starts back with making your partners understand Don't just call on the phone and just get coverage because um, it's $40 cheaper. Why is it $40?
Or
Why?
or because it's closing day and you forgot to get coverage. So now you're scrambling trying to get a policy, but you don't know you've locked yourself into this policy for at least a year just because it's closing day. So I would say too, in addition to that, how it ties back in because you're already putting your property at risk, right? You're already putting your finances at risk. Take the time ahead of time. If you know that you're already going to start shopping for property, start shopping for insurance around the same time that you're shopping for property. Don't wait until you have 2, 3 days before you close. And now the lender is like, well, we need your documents to prove that you have insurance. That really puts us at a risk because now we're pressed for time. And when things are not done decent and in order, what happens? We oftentimes make mistakes.
Certainly
So
true.
So be very careful of that. Now, Ed, you just dropped some gems. Thank you for that. First of all, in terms of protection through practice, because that's what we're talking about, right? Having the right mindset to identify items and descriptions on your policy that you might not necessarily understand, and don't wait until you need to file a claim to look at that
Mhm.
policy. Right, tonight everybody's homework is within the next 24 hours. Even today, don't even wait. Go look at your homeowner's insurance policy, see if you have actual cash value policies versus replacement costs. If you have actual cash value, you got some homework to do, right? You got, even if you have replacement costs, is that information accurate? Because we're humans, we're not perfect. Has something changed? Did you do any upgrades to your property? And now you need to consider that in their replacement cost. So those are a couple of things. But talking about protection through practice in today's market, how can we as realtors go beyond compliance, right? To truly practice fair housing as it relates to kind of what you were talking about. You talked a little bit more about us being more involved and being more, educating our clients. But is there anything that you feel from your industry that us realtors can do to be better stewards of our community?
I think so. You guys' position is a little different than
Okay.
most, right? And because you kind of touch everything, right? I think that learning other industries just enough to be dangerous, right? You're not going to learn everything about insurance or everything about, but if you learn enough, you'll know more than your client does, and that'll help them, that'll guide them into, you know, um, it'll it'll guide them. So like I go to all these sessions, I go to so many realtor sessions because I want to understand what's going on. I want to learn. I want to know how you guys sell. I want to know what you say to the client.
Yep.
So maybe if I hear something that I don't agree with, or maybe I'll learn something, which most times I do learn when I go to these sessions. You know this, I'll go in and sit on seminars just so I can learn. But so there's one thing that I did. There are two things that I wanted to say too that I missed that I want everybody to understand. In the insurance industry, when you buy a house, look at the deductible. What they're doing right now is they're putting percentage deductibles to get the premium down. What do I mean by this? So I'm gonna use Miss Cass. You don't know? Ask Miss Cass. Um, the What does that mean? You
Yeah.
might look at your policy and see a what's called you'll see a 1% deductible. What does that mean? 1% of what? Right? So if your house is $400,000, your deductible is now $4,000.
Mm.
Some people are putting two. I just saw one the other day that came from a different company, and the deductible was 2% on a $300,000 house. You know how the client found out? How do you think they
They
found out?
filed, they
Yeah,
filed a claim.
there you go. They found out when they had a claim because they weren't
Yeah.
watching. So now on a $300,000 house at 2%, their deductible was $6,000. Okay, the
Wow.
claim was for eight. So the company
Wow.
gave them $2,000 on an $8,000 claim. Okay, so I know people get their policies and don't look at them anymore, or you may call the agent and say, "Well, I need you to get this down for me," and they get it down. They do exactly what you say, right? You need to get it to a certain number, right?
Yeah.
You still need to be reading these things every year. It's not a you got to read them every year. You just got
So what
because
would you say?
everybody looks at their car insurance
Yeah.
every time the bill comes, but they don't look at their house insurance every time the bill comes. But go on, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're fine. So when it comes to using the right language, again, for people not in this industry, not in the insurance industry, not in the real estate industry, are there any particular is there any particular language that they can say instead of saying, I want to get this down? Should they be saying, hey, I want to look at some other options, but let me know kind of how you're moving these numbers around? Let me know how that's going to affect my deductible, how that's going to affect my coverage. Should we be given more information versus I just want to get this down? How do we approach that situation?
Couple different ways,
Okay.
and I'm gonna use just my friends. Like
Okay.
do I have all the discounts that I could possibly get on my policy? All right. Two, can I get the price lower without changing the coverages? If you do get it lower, can you explain to me how we got to a lower price?
Mm, that's
Okay.
it. Yep.
Those are things that you can ask. Those are simple questions. And depending on how that person answers you, again, you may
Should you
need
keep
to get a
shopping?
second opinion.
Right.
A second opinion. And the second opinion doesn't mean you're gonna go somewhere. Sometimes you use a second opinion to go back to your other insurance. You're like, this they found a gap in my coverage. Why is this like that? And the other thing um, that I want to talk about, I know we're on time, but the other thing I want to talk about
It's
is
We're good. We're good for another
okay,
10
great.
minutes.
One thing I want to talk about is since we're talking about replacement costs,
Yeah.
so let's talk about appraised value and replacement costs. They are different. They are not the
Mm,
same. Appraised value is the amount that an appraiser says, okay, this is how much this house would sell for. Okay. Rebuild value is how much that is that cost. Yeah, how much is it going to cost that house to be replaced if it was a total loss? Okay.
okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna use Gary. I'm gonna use Detroit on purpose because we know at certain times in Detroit you could buy a house for $5,000. And Gary, I know the prices are going up, but sometimes you could have a house, you could buy a house, or a house would appraise for $5,000. Right? All that's changing. I know it's the price are
I was
going up.
just getting ready to say maybe that was Detroit
Mm,
a couple of years ago because
yeah,
I just came back from
but
Detroit and ain't nothing over
and
there for 5,000.
right, but that's not my point. My point
I
is
know,
that
I know.
to rebuild that same house, even though you bought it for 5,000, it's going to cost much more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when we look in the rebuild costs, we look at labor and materials. So we use a system that calculates how much labor and materials are gonna cost at that time. Okay, and if we all know that each year the cost of labor, certain a lot of things affect labor and material, right? Storms affect labor, right? and and material. Political decisions affect labor and materials. When we start talking, this is not a political conversation, but when you start talking about tariffs and things can't come in, what that does is it increases the amount that materials are going to cost,
Or
right?
even
And so builders
waterways that
have
are shut down, right? Waterways that are shut down. So, those ships that would normally ship through a certain waterway to deliver those products and services goes up substantially. The oil, the gas goes up, which makes the material go up. Absolutely.
yeah. So all that affects the insurance company. So if the insurance company is if the cost of labor and material and material goes up, guess what? That means the claim goes up. And guess what? Again, insurance companies are not a non-profit organization. I use those words because I want people to understand that the insurance company is going to get their money back somehow. They're not going to just and a lot of times I hear, well, I've been paying my insurance for 20 years. I never had a claim.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is, somebody had a claim,
Yeah.
and it's a shared pool, right? It's a shared pool. Just that it hasn't been your time yet, and so there has to be enough money in that pool that when if there's a catastrophic event, the insurance company has to have enough money in that pool to pay all the claims that actually may happen. So
Got you.
that's why if a bunch of people in that pool have claims, the company has to replenish that pool so that when the next thing happens, it may be your time next time. There needs to be money in that pool of money that you've been paying every month to actually pay those claims. So I like to
Got
say
it.
it like that so people understand that you're not alone in this. You're in a pool of money, and then when it's time for you to use it, it's there for you to use.
Understood. Wow. Thank you for explaining that. I feel like I learned a lot tonight. A lot of good information. Interesting to see how it all ties back to equity in ownership and wealth protection. And I think all of this ties back to make sure that we have our house in order financially, right? Make sure we're checking for our policies, that we have the right coverage, make sure that we understand simply adding additional coverage could save us from going down a dark hole of just financial ruin, trying to come back out of that. So making those decisions and being proactive. Um, I want to shift gears. I know a lot of times people talk about insurance and people feel like it's so boring. This is a necessary conversation. This is a conversation we must have throughout our communities, and we must have it every single time we get an opportunity. So, again, Ed, I appreciate you for hanging out with me. I want to do a quick roundtable, something that I've never done before, but I just want to do a quick roundtable, talk a little bit about what you like personally, favorite foods. So I'll ask you a couple of questions. If you could just answer really quickly. Let's have some fun before we hang up tonight. So first question: deep dish or thin crust?
All depends on the day, but I love me some deep dish.
Who's your favorite deep dish pizza coming from?
I would say Giordano's.
Giordano's. Okay. Next question. We are fully into baseball season. White Sox or Cubs?
White Sox But if I'm out of town and having a conversation and the Cubs are winning, I'm going for the Cubs
Okay.
if I'm out of town.
If you're out of town, that's the caveat. Okay. Last question. Are you a homebody or do you like to get out and shake a tail feather?
I like to be out.
Wonderful. Well, listen, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here tonight. I have some homework for us, so I'm going to put that up in a moment, but I just want to clap it up for you. And once again, thank you so very much. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
No,
And
thank you for
so I
having
have
me. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I have some homework for our participants tonight. So I want to just put that on the screen. Just a quick summary of what we talked about tonight. I really want us to take in this conversation, and this conversation will remain on my social media platform. So if you miss something, you can always go back to it. But here are some things that we talked about here. Looking at your deductibles, right, on your policy. Make sure you understand your deductibles before you need to file a claim. Checking policies for terms like actual cash value versus replacement costs. And we started this conversation talking a little bit about additional coverages like sewer and sump pump backup protection, which can truly save us in the long run. Ed, did I miss anything based on our conversation tonight? Would you like to add anything in closing?
Check on your roof coverage.
Check on your roof coverage. Okay. Awesome. Well, before we hang up, a little birdie whispered in my ear that someone got nominated for an award. So, congratulations to you. Do you want to share with us a little bit about what you have going on in respect to that and talk to us about your upcoming event?
Oh, I know you're going to do that, but it's the Chicago, the Chicago Defender Men of Excellence Award, and I'm actually really proud of this one because it kind of comes full circle on the things that you do in the community that you
Yeah.
don't feel like people are actually watching. You know,
Yeah.
things we do, and I've done it with CPS, Chicago Public Schools. Things we do with financial advising, going out to community, doing things like this. Just teaching, and I just and I do believe that's why my business thrives
Yeah.
because if you help people, you'll get it back triple fold. Right? If you're doing it in the right space, it's just gonna come back to you. You know, and I want to be that trusted advisor for people or
Yeah.
even ask questions. So I don't feel like I'm a salesman at all, but I just feel like if I'm a teacher and I can teach people and they learn and they benefit from some of the experiences or things that I've seen, and we just need to start younger, teach your kids because trust me, somebody is at a table right now watching this with their child. And
I hope so. I
you
hope
may
so.
not think it's important, but I've gone in houses where I've sat and had dinner with people, and they had the newspaper article that they're talking about that was in the paper or online now, and I've seen
Yeah.
people their kids talk about one article at the table, and they talk about finance, and they show because I came from a household where we didn't talk about that was grown folks conversations.
That was grown folks conversation. We were to be seen and not heard. And back in the day, there used to be little doors in between the living room and the dining room. And when those little doors closed, you
Hmm.
know what that meant. That meant go sit your tail down somewhere and act like you got some sense. But what that did to a huge generation of people, and then our parents didn't know that, right?
Hmm.
We came into this industry and really into adulthood not understanding the benefits of insurance and getting insurance at a younger age, right? So when you get older, it's not so expensive. Now we have all of these ailments that we're battling with our health all of that, as Kanisha B said, me, now we're battling these health issues, and it's really hard to get some of that insurance and that coverage. I lost my sister to cervical cancer before she turned 40. I just lost my nephew at the age of 30 to a blood cancer. We didn't even know that he had cancer. So these conversations have to be had early on. Our communities are not going to thrive unless we start having these uncomfortable conversations. Just know that this is something that Ed and I are extremely passionate about. And with that being said, I want to make sure that you all know how to contact Ed if you want to reach out to share your policy, to let him look at what you currently have. Maybe you are purchasing soon. Maybe you need someone on your team. He's a great resource. He does insurance as well as wealth management. So he's kind of the best of both worlds. His contact information is here on the screen. So please make sure to connect to him and reach out to him. And my information, of course, scrolls at the bottom. You can easily reach out to me by texting MSCASS to 85377. That is Miss Cass to 85377. This is everything that I do. I'm a local realtor here in Chicago, and I love being in the community. As a matter of fact, what Ed didn't share with you is he helped to sponsor our wealth management session last month, our estate planning session with attorney Mario Reed.
And that was the bomb, by the way. That was the bomb. I am like all over his Facebook page now, just so you know. I mean, look, I got some nuggets from there because I live in the south suburbs, and his stuff about taxes and
saving the
tax rates and was just, I mean, if you haven't gone to his page, you got to go to his page.
Yeah, shouts out to attorney Mario Reed, very good brother, doing some good work. But yeah, Beavers helped to sponsor that. So Beavers is putting his money where his mouth is, right, and his heart. He's in the community. He's boots on the ground, right? Educating people, whether they're homeowners or not. And I just, again, brother, want to say thank you. Thank you for all you continue to do. I'm super excited about your award that you are going to be getting when you walk across that stage on June the 12th. But yeah, any information that you need from us, you guys, our information is here on the screen. We are actually going to give you a few minutes back in your schedules. We will be back. I will be back next Wednesday for session number 3. And that is a session that you do not want to miss. It's been a pleasure. Have a great night. It's your girl, Miss Cass. Where's Miss Cass? I'm glad you asked. Hey, Chicago.
Introduced to Cassandra, aka the Dream Team.
Happy Friday. So guys, I am here with Miss Cass at one of the beautiful properties in Woodlawn. We are actually on market. How are the condos? Is a condo a good purchase?
Yeah, that's not the way to go.
Don't do it. That is not